I'm sorry, what the f am I looking at?
Mattel, I don't know, I'm not so sure. They also said, they're the only country I've heard, they said, well, we're going to go counter. We're going to try going someplace else. That's okay. Let him go, and we'll put 100% tariff on his toys, and he won't sell one toy in the United States, and that's their biggest market. I heard that. I mean, I watched this guy talking about how I'm going to go counter. I said, well, I wouldn't want to have him as an executive too long.
He's referring to Mattel as a person. That is the toy company. Right. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. I don't know, man. Nobody knows what's going on.
This is CNN Breaking.
After a weekend of talks in Switzerland, under the agreement unveiled by the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, for 90 days, the U.S. is going to cut its tariffs on Chinese goods from 145% down to 30%. And China will cut its levies on U.S. imports from 125% to 10%. During these 90 days, then, the countries say that the negotiations continue. Globally, markets are cheering the news. U.S. stock futures, they are. We'll take a look at that.
Again, remember, if there's any lesson we've learned from all of this, it's that the behavior of the stock market should not be seen as any real indicator of the future to come. Yeah, no, I the only thing that I can really think of here is that somebody like pressured Trump. It might have been Scott Bessent, I don't really know, and said effectively like literally we need to move on this, you know. That's been happening for a while too. I mean, like Trump for at least a week, 2 weeks now, he's been saying, you know, can't wait for China to be ready to make a deal. China wants to make a deal. They just don't know how to say it, you know, that sort of thing.
Way up ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street after weeks of wild volatility that we've all been experiencing and covering over President Trump's tariffs, which have disrupted supply chains and raised recession fears. President Trump will likely be asked about all of this when he signs an executive order later this morning that he says will be to lower prescription drug prices. Let's get over to the White House right now. CNN's Elena Treen is standing by. Break all of this down for us right now as we know it so far, Elena.
Okay, I mean, this is a major breakthrough between the United States and China following these talks in Geneva this weekend. The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, announced in a 3 a.m. press conference that both countries have agreed to dramatically scale back these tariffs for at least 90 days. Now, we're expected to see these tariffs be rolled back starting May 14th. That's just 2 days from now. And I want to reiterate how you laid this out. So essentially, the United States is going to temporarily lower its overall tariffs on Chinese goods from 145% to 30%, while China is going to roll back its tariffs on American imports from 125% to 10%. And Kate, I cannot overstate enough how big of a change this is, particularly from a White House that has really tried to make China the key part of this broader tariff policy that the president has put forth, despite.
How's Fox News spinning this?
Hello, everyone. I am Tom Shalhoub, along with Molly Treasury Secretary Scott.
There we go. Trump the deal maker. It's just the constant up and down, you know, art of the deal versus its negotiating tactic. He raised tariffs. Now he lowered tariffs. Now he raised tariffs. Now he lowered tariffs. What have we gotten? Literally nothing.
Scott Bessent and Trade Representative Jamieson Greer detailed the negotiations earlier today.
We made substantial progress between the United States and China in these very important trade talks. We will be giving details tomorrow, but I can tell you that the talks were productive.
The president declared a national emergency and imposed tariffs, and we're confident that the deal we struck with our Chinese partners will help us to work toward resolving that national emergency.
This all comes as President Trump is set to take his first trip to the Middle East during his second term. The president is set to
Also, does no one feel a tad bit suspect that it's a 90-day pause, not a permanent stop? Apparently a non-binding 90-day pause as well. I mean, there's probably also a market manipulation element to it as well. As long as you're on the inside, you can just buy and sell in accordance with all the market fluctuations and just make a lot of money, you know? Just having fun with it, bouncing and moaning, etc. It's pretty meaningless. It's not as though this is the end of the tariff saga. We're still tariffing the entire goddamn planet. We've got extra tariffs on Canada and Mexico, which are still in effect. And I sincerely doubt China is going to waste the opportunity to continue to economically hurt us. Filler arc? Ain't it always?
Global stock markets are soaring thanks to President Trump's latest trade truce with
See, this is the point of the whole thing, right?
China, and the world's two largest economic superpowers have agreed to slash tariffs by 115%. That means there's still some in there, but they're much lower, and it's for a 90-day period. So Wall Street, the corner of Wall and Broad, liking the cooling off that they see. The deal cuts reciprocal tariffs, again, by 115%. And China will reduce pressure on U.S. products from 125% down to 10%. The U.S. will temporarily lower tariffs on Chinese goods from 145 to 30%. So you see, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent revealed that this breakthrough was able to happen.
Is in many ways nastier than China. We've just started with them. Oh, they'll come down a lot.
I'm sorry, like the free market and appealing to consumers is the best way to go instead of creating a system of dependency that is unsustainable in any country, in any language.
Emily.
Yeah, you know, I look at not through the lens of an economist by any means, but just as an American, as I have been told that under the prior administration, our obligations were ignored. And I can't skip over that because the idea and the concept of an abdication.
I actually don't care. Yeah, it's a big deal economically. It's just there's not much to say about it politically, you know, because it's just part of the wash cycle. You know what? Honestly, punch that in. I think we got time for another. Have you guys seen this? So I've mentioned this a little bit. I don't know if I've made a segment about it because, you know, I just work here. Thank you. But Trump has been taking a lot of moves lately that has really, really, really upset Israel. The most obvious one is the fact that Mike Waltz was colluding with Netanyahu to secure American support for our supporting Israel in them bombing Iran for, you know, to stop Iranian nuclear facilities. Trump wanted a peaceful solution. He doesn't want war in the Middle East, seemingly. He backed off. And then the next big hit to Israel, right, was the fact that he negotiated with the Houthis, who were firing, of course, they're firing on U.S. and Israeli ships over in the Red Sea. He shelled the Houthis for a bit, and then he essentially made peace with them in exchange for them no longer shelling American ships, leaving Israeli ships out in the water. Apparently, Netanyahu was shocked by that one. And now, among other things, I believe the last living American hostage that was being held by Hamas was released in a goodwill gesture towards the Trump administration, quote unquote. That's funny. Oh, also, negotiations with Saudi Arabia recently, they took official acknowledgement of Israel off the table from Saudi Arabia's side. Did he actually put America first? I think that there are a few factors here, right? A few factors. For one, and this is a fact, Israel is not a friend to America. In fact, didn't somebody write an article saying exactly that? Yeah, from Thomas Friedman, the Israeli government's not our ally. Well, it's true. The Israeli government has obviously been antagonistic to the United States for a long time. Not just recently, but for a long time. Why? Because they're an insane, belligerent settler colonial project. They're a group of ethno-nationalists who, in a lot of cases, believe they are literally superior to all other people. That is what ethno-nationalists tend to be like. And they have ruthlessly taken advantage of the fact that we support them for, proxy military regions. So, yeah, the idea that Israel is not really our friend, that's not like a controversial positions. Past presidents haven't liked Netanyahu. Mossad has been known to be like pretty antagonistic to American intelligence services. It's not new. No, not a new idea at all. I think that Trump, on a personal level, was pretty upset by the betrayal by Mike Waltz, where Mike Waltz, seemingly went over his head to do business with Netanyahu directly. It seemed he might be like personally offended by that. Like it might just bother him that anyone would go over his head, which, like, to be fair, that would also annoy me. But this shift, I mean, this happened like really, really, really quickly, right? It was not that long ago that Trump was pulling out Netanyahu's chair when he visited, being extremely deferential to Netanyahu. And what I think is happening here on a broader level, right, is that Okay, let's go back to first principles here. Why does America support Israel so doggedly, right? Because they're an extension of our military power in the Middle East. We use them as a check against Iran. We use them as a lever for local power, right? And we tolerate their political quirks and destabilizing tendencies because A, it's convenient to us in like an arms deal kind of way, and B, that's the price of entry when it comes to using them as a military base, right? Yes, also it's good to use the evangelical support for Israel on account of the whole doomsday prophecy bit, you know? The idea that evangelicals have that Jews need to control the Holy Land in order for the rapture to begin. So there are a variety of reasons for our continued support of Israel. And I think those reasons have been getting whittled away at for a little while. For one, it seems like the effect that Israel has had in the Middle East has been a little bit more deleterious than expected, right? Like they have destabilized past the point of usefulness to us, at least by some metrics. So it's possible that from like a logistical end, like in terms of using them as a forward base, they might not be worth the trouble as much. When it comes to the support for evangelicals, yeah, don't get me wrong, that's still a huge part of it. But when the f has Trump ever cared about that? Also, there is a kind of post-religiosity to this right, isn't there? This version of the Republican Party certainly isn't very like committed to Christianity as like an ideology. I mean, they never really have been, but I think they've been flirting a little bit more with like post-religiosity. Trump, for example, does not flout his Christianity as much as he used to, right? Like in his first term, he would Bible thump more often than he does now. I think that in a way, the cult of MAGA has replaced the Christian cult in a dogmatic sense, where like what you really need, of course, isn't like Christianity. What you need is like a metaphysical pretext for believing certain things, and you can achieve that without religion. Also, to a large extent, like we aren't on as bad of terms with the rest of the Middle East as we used to be, right? Like, obviously, there's Saudi Arabia, which we get along with pretty well, but Iran and Russia also have a close relationship, and this administration is pretty pro-Russia, at least kind of, more so than previous administrations. We're less consistent in our allegiances when it comes to foreign policy. So we just might not be as willing to front Israel, whatever the reasons are. And I'm waffling because I don't know what's going on in the back end, but it is an undeniable fact that over the past less than a month, like the past few weeks, the Trump administration has been openly signaling a disinterest in Israel. The shift has been enormous. And I think that this is a symbolic gesture of that to an extent, you know? Not enough to pressure them about Gaza, though, right? No. I don't think Trump cares about the Palestinians. This isn't about humanitarianism from his end or something. I think that Trump probably doesn't like being slighted. I think that powerful people have told Trump, people from the MIC, establishment Republicans, have told Trump, you got to be nice to Netanyahu. He's a very good ally to the United States. But Netanyahu is probably like personally grating and demanding. He's a belligerent piece of shit. Previous U.S. presidents have said that. That's not new, right? So between him being unlikable, Trump not having anyone around to guide him or be like a voice of reason in his ear or whatever, genuinely, it might just be like he's shifting away from them. And now we got a hostage after 19 months. That is crazy. Oh, Trump's also publicly signaled opposition to the most recent Israeli threat, Netanyahu's threat, which is that they will re-engage in an offensive in Gaza and reoccupy it and assimilate it fully if Trump doesn't let them strike Iranian nuclear facilities. You remember that one? From like a week ago? So f***ing belligerent, man. So f***ing arrogant. Oh yeah, we're just going to keep doing war and kill people forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Like, unless you let us prove that we're still worth investing in by starting war with Iran. That one was spurred by IDF top brass begging Trump to intervene too. The internal forces are tearing the Israeli Knesset apart. IDF's top brass hope Trump intervenes and prevents massive new Gaza operation. Yeah, the Netanyahu like war cabinet coalition has been on shaky ground for a long time. It's possible that like breaking with Trump might actually do it in. It is extremely funny though that Biden was the best ally Netanyahu ever could have had. He defended him relentlessly. Biden lied for Israel's benefit constantly. Biden's ideologically Zionist, not just Zionist by circumstance. And Biden worked hard to liberalize Zionism and the Israeli genocide, you know, by making it like a common cause, right? But Netanyahu wanted Trump to win, and look what he's getting. Yeah, buyer's remorse. Yeah, it probably also doesn't help that Trump is very susceptible to Gulf state bribery. Like he just got that $400 million Qatari plane. And all of those countries, like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, don't like Israel. Partly for like ethnic reasons, because they're Arab and obviously, you know, it's Israel, Muslim relations, so on and so forth. But also because they would prefer that the power base in the region be determined by them and their like petrostate influence and not by Israel and their like psychotic ethno-nationalist threaten the world with nuclear Armageddon if they get invaded influence. You get me, right? It's just weird. Also, the people of those countries get really pissed off if those governments didn't oppose Israel. Yeah. And so it's funny that he dropped the like prerequisite for Saudi Arabia to recognize Israel. There's just a lot of, I don't know. Yeah, I look forward to Schumer calling Trump an anti-Semite or something. Which, to be fair, he definitely is. But, you know what I mean. Like, look at these article titles, man. Yeah, Trump repeatedly bypasses Netanyahu, stoking dismay among Israelis. Disagreements on Iran, Gaza straining Trump-Netanyahu relationship. Daylight with Israel, Trump style. Trump's Middle East visit leaves Netanyahu watching from the sidelines again. They got him in the cuck chair. Israel's worried about any deal Trump might strike with Iran. Remember, Netanyahu explicitly wants war with Iran. If Trump strikes any kind of deal with Iran, it will become incredibly difficult for Israel to do to engage militarily, you know? Trump strains relationship with Netanyahu as Middle East policy increasingly isolates Israel. How can we understand the Trump-Gaza insanity stuff? I don't think it's that difficult to understand. Trump sees that there's conflict in a region, so he says he wants to be the biggest peacemaker of all time, go in there and put a big golden statue up. Like, he just likes real estate and deal making. He doesn't personally care about really anything within the region, apart from just being generally, like, racist, of course.